Happening this morning, firefighters are still going at it, battling two wildfires here in New Mexico, including the Thompson Ridge Fire, which is working its way toward the Valles Caldera. Both fires are growing.
Yeah, you know, some much needed help actually moved in yesterday in terms of the weather helping out, and that could again happen today. Let's start with an update with the Thompson Ridge Fire that is burning in the Jemez Mountains. Right now, it is about 5% contained and has burned through more than 10,000 acres. Yesterday, firefighters got help from a DC-10 that dropped thousands of gallons of fire retardant, as well as helicopters doing the same. Now, the aircrafts are getting that water from Fenton Lake, which is close to the public, by the way, and so is the Valles Caldera.
And there is the Tres Lagunas fire. It's burning near Pecos. It's charred almost 9,500 acres and is 24% contained. Yesterday, firefighters got some help with a little bit of rain. Meteorologist Kristen Van Dyke says also they opened up Highway 63 up to Windy Bridge and are allowing some people who live in the area to go back home. And there is a new wildfire burning in the western part of the state. The Sawmill Canyon fire is charred about 30 acres south of Quemado. It's near the Agua Fria Mountain. It's about a mile away from any buildings right now. Firefighters have not said how this fire started.
All right, Kristen, we are all hoping, especially those firefighters out there, that they're going to see some more of that rain. Any hope?
There is definitely some hope, especially for the Pecos area where there's a lot more moisture. They got showers yesterday. They could very easily see that happen again. In fact, by noon, those rain chances are going to start to go up, and the humidity definitely a good thing for the firefighters. This afternoon, the humidity pretty decent, and also the winds not too strong, and temperatures in the low 70s. That for the Tres Lagunas fire, but we get depleted of moisture the farther west we go, and so for the Jemez Mountains, just not as much moisture there, though it is certainly better than it has been this morning. Really ideal for battling the fire. 63 degrees, you have 48% relative humidity that 9 a.m., so it's actually even a little bit better right now. And then as we go through the day, there's a slight chance we could get a stray shower or storm going there, but for the most part, most of that's going to stay east of that area. But still, with the moisture and the light winds, it's not looking too bad for today. It'll be later this week, really going into the weekend, when we get the hot, dry weather, that things are going to get a little bit more tricky for the firefighters.
All right, stick around. Show up more on your weather coming up in about 10 minutes or so. And make sure you stay with KRQE News 13 for the very latest on the wildfires. We'll always have it here on air and anytime at krqe.com. And some other news this morning, one village here in New Mexico is now dealing with a water emergency.
Yeah, Magdalena's only well is almost dry, and the village storage tanks have only 13 feet of water left, which won't last long. An emergency has been declared. Residents are being asked to use water for drinking only. The village has tried for 4 years to get the state to pay for a backup well, but that hasn't happened. So now firefighters are giving out water bottles. A 4,000-gallon tank is coming from White Sands.
A federal investigation into the governor's stolen emails has led to child pornography charges against a powerful Democratic operative. We have learned the person charged with child porn sent one of those hijacked emails that had nothing to do with porn to the state Democratic Party chairman. Here's News 13's Katie Kim to explain.
We first reported last week the FBI interviewed more than a dozen people related to leaked emails from the governor's campaign account, and that indictments were on the way. Well, we're now learning that investigation has led to a much bigger case. It all started in 2009. Then candidate Susana Martinez hired campaign manager Jamie Estrada, giving him access to her Susana 2010 email account. By late 2009, the governor says she fired him. Federal investigators say Estrada still had her account information, and in late 2010 began illegally redirecting those communications. He's now charged with stealing those emails and lying to federal agents. The FBI says one of the people Estrada was sending those emails to was Jason Loeta, a Democratic political consultant. Loeta then used an alias to forward one of the emails to current state Democratic Party chairman Sam Bregman. Last July, Bregman, an Albuquerque attorney, used the email in an unrelated case involving a fired state employee. The governor's political advisor tells News 13 they recognized the email as one that was from the hijacked account and turned the info over to the feds. Agents quickly linked the email to Loeta and issued a search warrant on his former Northwest Albuquerque house to see if he had more stolen emails. What they found was much more serious. Discs containing images of child porn. Also around this time, Loeta was a paid consultant for Bregman's Political Action Committee, Grassroots New Mexico. We wanted to know if Bregman knew the email was sent from a hijacked account. He has not returned our multiple calls.
I think the public deserves to know what he knew, when he knew, and how much he knew. But now all he says is no comment.
Loetta was arrested in Los Angeles last Friday. He'll have to return to Albuquerque to face a judge. Loetta faces a maximum sentence between 5 to 20 years in federal prison if convicted. In the Newsplex, Katie Kim, KRQE News 13.
A third person was named as a possible suspect in the federal search warrants. Anissa Ford was the personal assistant to then candidate Susana Martinez during the campaign. Ms. Ford was not hired to a position in the governor's administration. Federal search warrants say that she had conversations online with Loetta and Estrada and received emails. Sources tell us she is cooperating with the investigation. Well, a woman here in New Mexico claims that she was a country music star and that it was enough to swindle an elderly man out of his savings and the deed to his home.
But now that phony story could get her some real jail time. News 13's Alex Goldsmith has a story.
This strange case started online but became all too real and for more than one victim. According to an Arkansas warrant, Edgewood's Sue Evers convinced a 75-year-old man she was country bluegrass star Allison Krauss. The two married in February. By April, investigators say Evers had drained his life savings, had him sign away the deed of his house, and filed a new will named as his heir. Evers fled back to Edgewood, and Fayetteville police filed a warrant for her arrest. Torrance County deputies say Evers was with another man she was pretending to be Krauss with when they picked her up on that warrant. Evers is being held in Torrance County awaiting extradition back to Arkansas. So how did Evers explain why her name and birth date were totally different from Krauss's to her elderly victim? According to the arrest warrant, she claimed she was in the FBI's witness protection program. As for why she had to live with him, she claims it was to avoid the paparazzi. In the Newsplex, Alex Goldsmith, KRQE News 13.
Torrance County's undersheriff tells us Sue Evers could soon face criminal charges in New Mexico as well. Well, parts of the state was hit with some wicked weather yesterday, that is for sure.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of pictures that you were kind enough to send us. Dramatic proof of what happened. Now, Kristen, you tracked all of this, you forecasted it in the morning. What exactly did happen yesterday? A lot of hail, wind, what else?
We had hail and wind and a lot of heavy rain and even a haboob. Take a look at this. Let's take a look at some of the pictures that came in, and this is one of the haboob, and actually that is a big dust storm. Visibility went down to 0. This is down toward Hobbs and Artesia, and the winds were so strong that the dust that blew in, again, reduced visibility to 0. We had down power lines that were causing grass fires, all kinds of damage down in the southeast. This is also another picture of some of the hail that came down on the roads up near Santa Fe and Capullin, and it looked more like snow out there. So it was just crazy. Everett was the one who sent in this picture, so thanks so much for sending in that picture of the hail there, and of course James Wooten down towards Hobbs, he sent in some pictures too of the haboob there, and he was saying there were brownout conditions for quite a bit of time. So it was just really, really rough, and all that, of course, because of a front that came through yesterday afternoon, and because things have been so hot and so dry, we had all this moisture come in, and what happened is you just have a very dynamic situation, and so those updrafts get really, really strong, and you have a lot of rising air, and the thunderstorms that develop get very strong too, and you have a little bit of cold air aloft as well, and that means hail. We had hail reports. We had tons of wind damage. No tornadoes. This wasn't a tornadic situation, but definitely one that did mean quite a bit of damage when it comes to the wind. We had power lines down and of course some electrical lines down as well. This is what it looked like yesterday. You can see where it started, and then all of that coming on down to the south and east yesterday evening, and now all of that's out over Texas, but we could see more storms firing up again this afternoon. All the details coming up.